Then visit 123dentist.com. Our website makes it quick and easy to find the right dental clinic near you with the hours, services, even languages you choose. With over 50 dental offices in and around the GTHA, we're conveniently located near parking and transit. Emergency dental services are available too, as well as specialists like orthodontists, oral surgeons, children's specialists, and periodontists. So visit 123dentist.com today and find your dentist.
New to Canada? TDSB Community Services can help. From tax returns to your citizenship test. If you're a professional with international experience, you can continue your career in Canada. Get free training and newcomer services. Visit tdsb.on.ca/radio.
Toronto's news. Now, this is City News 680. Everywhere.
Foggy and 1 degree in downtown Toronto. Good evening. I'm Scott Burnett. Thanks for joining us. Here are the top stories right now. A woman in her 70s is in hospital with critical injuries after she was hit by a car in the Thorncliffe Park neighborhood. That vehicle did not stay at the scene. There are road closures at Thorncliffe Park Drive and Milepost Place just south of Overley. A pedestrian was struck and killed by a GO train tonight just east of the Dixie GO station. It happened around 7:45. Buses are being prepared to help passengers on that 710 Northbound train get home. And a fog advisory is in place for areas west of the city, reducing visibility on the roads around the GTA. It'll improve for the St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, though, as will temperatures with a high of 16 and plenty of sunshine. Coming up after sports, a pair of Canadian students are fighting for their lives in a hospital in Texas after a head-on crash that left 9 people dead. Time for a look at sports. We've got a Sportsnet 590 The Fan and our very own Mike Leach. Mike.
Hey, Scott. The Raptors rounding out a road trip tonight in Los Angeles. Gary Trent Jr. not feeling great, but he'll play. Fred VanVleet also going to give his sore knee a try. Tip-off in about 15 minutes at 10:30 on Sportsnet. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Sixers doing the Raps a favor by beating Cleveland 118-114. Cavs now just a half game up on Toronto for the 6th seed. And Spencer Dinwiddie with a buzzer beater to push Dallas past Brooklyn 113-111. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets shut down the Senators 4-1. In the third period, the Montreal Canadiens making a trade tonight. Ben Sherrod on his way to Florida for Tyler Splanek and a couple of draft picks. In the NFL, some big news for Bills fans. Linebacker Von Miller signing a 6-year deal with Buffalo. Miller was, of course, a critical piece of the Rams' winning defense. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or any time at sportsnet.ca.
Mix and match at Sleep Country is back. We'll match you to the right mix of products, no matter your sleep style. So whether you're a light snoozer, a deep dreamer, or a mix of everything in between, our sleep experts have seen it all and will help you find the sleep essentials you need. And now, get a flat buy on a queen mattress that will give you the perfect blend of comfort and support for only $449 in all in just days. So hurry in the Sleep Country. Free clothes, baby, Sleep Country.
The game is Know Your Client. The contestant is Desjardins agent David. Let's see how well he knows his client, Allie. David, 2 years ago, Allie relocated for work. With a longer commute, she bought a more reliable vehicle. In the top shelf of the fridge is where she eventually found her wedding ring hiding behind the mayonnaise.
Switch to Desjardins Home Insurance and save up to $690 when you bundle with auto. Get started at DesjardinAgents.com. Desjardins Insurance. Home, auto, life. Exclusions and conditions apply.
City News time, 10:18. A van carrying members of a university golf team from New Mexico was involved in a deadly crash with a pickup truck in West Texas. Our Tijuana Turner tells us 2 Canadian students were critically injured.
A total of 9 people were killed when a Ford F-150 crossed the center line and collided with the van they were traveling in. Texas police say it happened on Tuesday evening in Andrews County.
This was a head-on crash. One of the vehicles involved belonged to the University of the Southwest. It was transporting the men's and women's golf team from a golf tournament here in the West Texas area.
Police say 6 students from Portugal in Mexico, their coach, the driver of the truck, and a 13-year-old boy died in the incident. 2 Canadian students, 19-year-old Dayton Price of Mississauga and 20-year-old Hayden Underhill of Amosville, were airlifted to a nearby hospital where they remain in critical condition. The National Transportation Safety Board has been Eastbound Yonge, Ram to the westbound 407, that's closed off there. Eastbound 407, Ram to the eastbound 401, no access there. And the northbound 400 approaching Aurora Road. It looks like there's some debris on the left lane there. MTO is driving up to the scene right now, so just drive carefully around that area there. Westbound QEW, the ramp to Dixie, there's no access there, and that scene actually is getting busier by the minute. I just saw that tow got on scene, and there's also emergency and police and MTO on scene there right now. Eastbound QEW ramp to the 403, a right lane is blocked off due to construction. Out in Brampton, Great Lakes Drive at Sailwind, which is just south of Sandalwood, that's closed off due to a collision. And then within city streets, southbound Keel and eastbound westbound Dundas rather, that's been reduced to a single lane due to construction. And Thorncliffe Park Drive at Mile Post, just south of Overlea, that's also completely closed off due to a collision involving a pedestrian, sadly. War is escalating in Ukraine with children at the greatest risk. UNICEF is delivering essentials, but they need your help. Donate now at unicef.ca. Your next report at 10:31 with the forecast. Here's Jason Fraser.
Well, overall today it was just a cloudy day. We continue to deal with some fog around the GTA. That is going to really impact visibility. So if you do have any plans to go out and about today, would highly recommend that you be extra cautious. And that's all because, especially at night, fog can really be very dangerous. Temperatures aren't going to really change much for tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures really skyrocket. They are going to warm up to around 16 degrees for St. Patrick's Day. A little taste of spring, and then tomorrow night, that warm air is going to trigger off some raindrops. Will likely drop down to around 5 degrees. The rain is going to continue into Friday, and a few of us may even see some snowflakes developing either sometime on Friday into Saturday. And speaking of Saturday, we will likely end up seeing some rain showers continuing as temperatures will improve to a high of right around 8 degrees. Our overnight low tonight is 4 degrees.
Downtown Toronto right now, 1 feeling like -5.
Coming up at 10:30, we're following the latest developments out of Thorncliffe Park, where a woman in her 70s is now in hospital with critical injuries after she was hit by a vehicle. Meantime, a pedestrian was struck and killed on the GO train tracks just outside the Dixie station on the Milton line tonight as well. We've also got a fog advisory in place, making driving around the city a little tricky with reduced visibility. We'll have the details on these stories and much more straight ahead.
This is City News.
Hey, it's Dean Sicolis from Infinity of Willowdale. If you're in the market for a new luxury ride, Infinity of Willowdale and Newmarket Infinity is ready to spoil you. Walk our red carpet into the 2022 Infinity QX50 Pure. Lease it this month from just $279 semi-monthly at 3.79% for 51 months, with $56.95 down. Come see the Infinity QX50 Pure at Infinity of Willowdale and Newmarket Infinity, where the red carpet treatment awaits you.
Tap into the most up-to-date information.
Download the City News Toronto app and get your information whenever, wherever.
City News, everywhere.
This new segment brought to you by AGMRenovations.com. Chris Cuomo is seeking $125 million in compensation from the network that fired him last December. Cuomo was terminated from CNN after it was revealed he gave his brother, then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, legal advice during a sexual harassment investigation. Cuomo's lawyers argue he was wrongfully terminated and the company violated his rights by allowing CNN staff to launch a calculated campaign to smear Cuomo and destroy his reputation. He says the top execs at CNN were aware of his involvement with his brother's affairs, but the president of CNN Worldwide says he was purposely misled. Coming up in just 60 seconds, the business report with our good friend Richard Souther.
City News time, 10:25.
Watch, listen, connect.
Whenever and wherever you are.
This
is City News 680.
everywhere.
Everyone is spending a lot of time at home. Finishing your basement is the best way to create more living space. I'm Mike Holmes here with Ivan from AGM Renovations, Canada's highest rated renovators.
Thanks, Mike. Since 1998, we have turned thousands of basements into in-law suites, gyms, home offices, anything you can think of, whatever you can imagine.
AGM is the only basement renovation company that I recommend.
Get $5,000 off your new basement. The Ontario Sports Hall of Fame honors the province's greatest athletes, builders, personalities, and media for their contributions to the Ontario sports scene.
6.
Time for the business report. Richardson.
Well, stocks reversed an afternoon fade to close sharply higher, even as the U.S. Central Bank announced its first interest rate hike since 2018. The Dow up 518 points, 34,063. S&P 500 was up 2.25%. The NASDAQ up 487 points, and Canada's main stock index picked up 1 1/3%. The TSX up 280 points to 21,468. Did see an initial move lower when the U.S. Central Bank announced U.S. rates going up 0.25%, with plans, it says, for 6 more rate hikes this year. But investors quickly moved back in. They bought technology stocks. Shares in NVIDIA, the graphics chip maker, up 6.6%. Apple up 3% to close above $159. And on the TSX, Shopify was up almost 12% today. Lightspeed Commerce up 9.2%. Commodities backed off. Oil fell again, down another $1, $95.36, and gold down to $1,928. Well, Disney workers are planning a walkout from the company's Florida theme parks next week to protest what they say is the slow response by Disney CEO Bob Chapek to publicly criticize new Florida legislation that critics have dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill. This bill bars the instruction in Florida schools on sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through grade 3. Now, the Republican lawmakers who pushed for it argue that parents, not teachers, should be the ones talking to kids about these issues, but the legislation has garnered a lot of scrutiny, particularly from U.S. President Joe Biden, who called it, quote, hateful. Others argue it demonizes LGBTQ individuals. It was a number of weeks before Disney's CEO spoke out against it. There's going to be a general walkout next Tuesday by Disney workers. The company is Florida's largest private sector employer. Disney shares were up 2.9% today. The Canadian dollar up to 78.82 cents U.S. This is City News.
Grab your shorts and make some lemonade, because Appliance Canada is bringing the heat this winter. It's the hot item sale, with huge savings on top brands like Samsung, LG, Genair. Plus, cook up the savings with KitchenAid, and you could save up to $500 towards a qualifying package. These items are hot.
How hot are they?
Real hot.
Ooh, that's hot.
Get the hot details at ApplianceCanada.com.
Alpine Credit.
Hi, I'd like a loan to consolidate all my bills into one easy payment.
Okay, I just need to...
I am counting to 3.
Well, I just need to know if you're a homeowner.
Sorry about that. Homeowner, yes.
Oh, you're approved. See, I thought, never mind.
Hear that, kids? Finally, someone's making my life easier. Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved.
Go to alpinecredits.ca to get started. Some conditions apply.
Federal license 12616.
City News Time, 10:30.
Toronto's number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is City News 680. Everywhere.
It's Wednesday, March the 16th. I'm Zach Bovaird.
I'm Scott Burnett. Here's what's making news right now.
Canada's defense minister meets with other NATO officials to discuss the situation in Ukraine. Anita Anand calls it extremely dire.
A fog advisory in place for the entire GTA.
A woman in her 70s is in critical condition after she was struck by a vehicle in East York. After initially fleeing, the driver returned to the scene.
There's hope of stopping a looming strike this Friday by Ontario's college faculty. It comes as a coalition of students calls for the province to step in if no deal can be reached.
Raptors now just minutes away from tip-off against the Clippers tonight in Los Angeles, and the Bills making a fantastic addition to their defense. Sports at 45.
Big winning Wednesday in the books for stocks. The Dow adds more than 500 points. Plus, airline stocks fly high on some reported changes to border rules. Business at 56.
City News Time, 10:31.
And now traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Maria Pardo.
This report is brought to you by King's Landing. Our major routes are actually in a way better shape despite the weather. Westbound 407 from Yonge to Bathurst, 2 right lanes are blocked off there due to construction. Southbound Yonge Ram to the westbound 407, that's completely closed off as well. Eastbound 407 Ram to the eastbound 401, no access there. That's supposed to last until 5 a.m. Westbound QEW, the ramp to Dixie, that's completely closed off due to a collision. Emergency police, MTO, and tow are still on scene, so it's a pretty busy scene. Just be careful around that area there. Eastbound QEW ramp to the 403, a right lane is blocked off due to construction. Out in Brampton, Great Lakes Drive at Saleswind, which is just south of Sandalwood, that's closed off due to a collision. And then within City Street, southbound Keel at eastbound, westbound Dundas, that's been reduced to a single lane due to construction. And then at Thorncliffe Park Drive at Milepost, which is just south of Overley, that's closed off due to a collision as well. Just a reminder to drive very carefully, as the fog will make your drive a little more challenging today. I couldn't see past a couple meters in some spots when I was driving down, so just be careful, especially on the highways. Kings Landing in North York now has a special reserve of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom homes ready for you to reign supreme. Visit concoursekingslanding.ca. Your next report at 10:41 with the forecast. Here's Jason Fraser.
Fog is going to continue to be an issue in around the GTA, and it's going to be cloudy as well. We won't really see temperatures change that much as well. They're going to be hovering maybe about a degree or two from where they're at right now. Our overnight low tonight is 4 degrees. Downtown Toronto right now, it's foggy and 1, feeling like -5. City News time 10:32.
An update now from the Thorncliffe Park area of the city, where a woman was struck by a vehicle earlier tonight. Police on the scene near Thorncliffe Park Drive and Overley Boulevard now say that the driver returned to where the crash happened after initially taking off.
The motor vehicle involved at first fled the scene. The investigation has determined that in its early stages, due to witnesses' involvement and the community's involvement, they were able to track down that witness, and they have now returned to the scene and are now cooperating with police officers.
The victim was a woman in her 70s who was taken to hospital with critical injuries. Road closures are still in place in that area. Police say the foggy weather may have played a role in the crash.
A woman's been rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries after she was hit by a vehicle in Brampton. Peel police say that happened just before 4 o'clock this afternoon at Great Lakes Drive and Salewind Road, just south of Sandalwood Parkway. Right now, still road closures in the area. No word on if any charges will be laid.
A fog advisory is in effect for Toronto and the GTA, with Environment Canada calling for another night of difficult driving conditions. The agency says areas of near zero visibility are expected through the evening hours. By tomorrow afternoon, St. Patrick's Day, it'll be about the temperature. Your Thursday high in Toronto, 16 degrees with plenty of sunshine.
Now, City News in-depth team coverage. Russian attacks on Ukraine continue while NATO continues to send more help to Ukraine, but it appears that peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are encouraging. Our Phil Martino has more.
Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand says the NATO meeting is necessary to ensure they're standing up for the principles of defense and deterrence. She says Canada has been assisting Ukraine since 2015.
We provided lethal and non-lethal aid before the further invasion of Ukraine. In fact, our shipments of lethal aid arrived on February 22nd.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says the ministers have agreed to continue to provide significant support to Ukraine, including humanitarian aid, military supplies, and financial help. And he has this message for the Russian leader.
President Putin must stop this war immediately.
Meantime, Russian forces continue their attacks on Kyiv and other major cities. According to City Council in Mariupol, a Russian airstrike destroyed a theater building where hundreds of people were sheltering. I'm Phil Martino.
It may have been off the cuff, but President Joe Biden officially gone on the record about what he really thinks about Vladimir Putin. Biden said that to a group of reporters this afternoon after announcing more military aid and drones to Ukraine to assist in its defense against Russia. This comes after the president of Ukraine addressed U.S. Congress earlier today.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky making a passionate speech and plea to American Congress this morning, once again asking for support of a no-fly zone, calling for more aid. U.S. President Joe Biden says Zelensky showing courage and strength.
Courage and strength that's inspired not only Ukrainians, but the entire world.
Biden heeding Zelensky's call, signing a new $800 million aid package for Ukraine.
It'll
Our country's telecom regulators removing RT from its authorized list of foreign stations. The CRTC says that it was concerned that programs on the Kremlin-backed broadcaster could expose Ukrainians to hatred or contempt on the basis of their national origin. And major Canadian cable providers had already dropped RT from their channel lineup shortly after the invasion began.
A pedestrian has been struck and killed by a GO train near Dixie Station. It happened around 7:45 tonight on the Milton GO line. The 300 passengers on board the 710 train out of Union were taken off the train at around 10 o'clock with buses completing their trip.
City News Time 10:37. Ontario college teachers set to hit the picket line by the end of the day on Thursday if a deal between the two sides can't be reached. Asher Ross tells us that students are calling on the Ford government to get involved if no deal can be reached.
A coalition of 20 student associations has published an open letter calling on the two sides to resume their talks. The head of Fanshawe Student Union, Ricardo Souza, wrote that letter.
We are showing all the concerns from a student perspective and how concerned we are as student leaders as well.
The two sides agreed to meet virtually with a mediator from the Ministry of Labor on Thursday. If no deal is reached, Souza says the hundreds of thousands of students affected will not be left in the dark.
We are prepared with content information to guide them through this process, and also we'll be offering our services 100% in person to make sure we are there for our students.
While the strike deadline is Friday after midnight, the union says it is willing to extend it if real progress is made on Thursday. Asher Ross, City News.
As of April 1st, it will be easier for vaccinated travelers to get into Canada. Our Mark Douglas reports.
No more COVID testing for fully vaccinated travelers coming into Canada. A government source telling City News the end of that pre-departure requirement should be coming by the end of March. Here at Terminal 1, some travelers like Deb from Woodstock are saying, thank heavens.
Oh, it's just been the hassle. You get tested where you're leaving from, and then you get retested when you get back, and high cost.
Other travelers like Mark would actually prefer the testing requirements stay in effect.
Does anybody want to go back to the way we were? No.
The end of COVID testing would apply for air travel and land border crossings, although random testing on arrival will continue. Several Canadian border city mayors and, of course, the tourism industry have been calling for easier travel regulations for weeks now. At Pearson Airport, Mark Douglas, City News.
An appeals court's ordered that Jesse Smollett be released from jail during the appeal of his conviction for staging a hate crime against himself. The actor's been behind bars for 6 days of his 5-month sentence. The special prosecutor's office had opposed the motion, calling it illogical. TMZ reports that the actor's vowed not to eat. He's only going to drink water for at least a month while in jail for spiritual reasons. Gas prices are coming up next.
City News Time 10:39.
The good times are back at Hyde Park Nissan, Willowdale Nissan, and Newmarket Nissan. Hi, it's Dean Secolos here. Remember the days when you got to touch, feel, and drive your new wheels before spring and got a great deal on the spot? Do it again now at the Nissan Now event. Lease a 2021 Nissan Qashqai for 24 months at $67 weekly with $19.95 down. Let us remind you what you've been missing and what you deserve. Go ahead, spoil yourself at Hyde Park Nissan, Willowdale Nissan, and Newmarket Nissan.
And now the gas price update. Empro's predicting a drop of 6 cents at the pumps at midnight to $1.63.9 at most GTA stations. We'll check in with Maria and Jason. They've got your traffic and weather next.
City News Time 10:40.
Share more with families with CIBC Global Money Transfer. We know achieving your goals in Canada happens with the support of families. With CIBC Global Money Transfer, we have 0 transfer fees. The more of your money goes to thanking those who matter most. Share more in over 120 countries. And now get up to $300 back on your first transfer with promo code GMTEvent. It's our way to share too. For details, go to CIBC.com/GMTEvent. Conditions and CIBC foreign exchange rates apply.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is you. But to get an honest day's work, you need a callback. You need a job. Express Employment Professionals can help. We'll connect you to the right company. We're committed to your success and never charge a fee to find you a job. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Find your location at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
City News
Time 10:41.
And with a look at your drive, here's Maria Pardo.
This report is brought to you by Global Television. We are dealing with a new incident on the eastbound QEW. All Walker's line, a right lane is blocked off due to a stalled vehicle. It's a minor incident, however, it could become dangerous with the fog, so be careful around that area there. And then the ramp to the 403, a right lane is blocked off due to construction. We're also dealing with some more construction on the westbound 407 from Yonge to Bathurst. The 3 right lanes are closed off. Southbound Yonge ramp to westbound 407, there's no access there. Eastbound 407 ramp to the eastbound 401, that's completely closed off there as well. Westbound QEW ramp to Dixie, that's closed off as well. It's still a pretty busy scene. Emergency police, MTO, and tow are still currently on scene. And then out in Brampton, Great Lakes Drive at Silwood, which is just south of Sandalwood, that's closed off due to a collision involving a pedestrian. And another collision involving a pedestrian at Thorncliffe Park Drive at Milepost, just south of Overlea, so that's completely closed off there. Just a heads up. A brutal crime and a diabolical cover-up. The unbelievable true story starring 2-time Academy Award winner Renee Zellweger. The Thing About Pam, all new Tuesdays at 10 on Global. Your next report at 10:51 with the forecast. Here's Jason Fraser.
Lots of clouds are expected for this evening. Visibility will continue to be an issue, and that's all thanks in part to the fog that has not lifted in around the GTA. Tomorrow, we will end up seeing the sun, but it's likely going to happen towards the latter half of tomorrow, and we're going to see temperatures skyrocket into the teens tomorrow. We'll likely top out near 16 degrees, and then tomorrow night, we could even get a few raindrops, and we'll drop down to around 5 degrees. Our overnight low tonight is 4 degrees.
Downtown Toronto right now, it's foggy and 1 degree. Same conditions at Pearson. City News Time 10:43.
Nearly 3,000 Canadian Pacific Railway workers could be off the job early on Sunday morning. CP Rail says it's issued 72-hour notice to the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference of its plan to lock out employees if the union and the company are unable to come to a negotiated settlement or agree to binding arbitration. Now, many of CP Rail's customers have raised concerns about the possibility of a labor disruption at a time when supply chain are already strained because of the pandemic. Coming up next, we'll recap your top stories and get a look at sports.
City News Time 10:43.
Hi, I'm Cherry Tab, co-founder of the Herzig Eye Institute. We've developed a learning experience called Through the Eyes of a Patient. I'm the patient. Follow my journey to correct my astigmatism and nearsightedness and get my reading vision back. Google Herzig Eye Institute. Watch Through the Eyes of a Patient to better understand the process from start to finish. Call us for a consultation. There's no charge. We're prepared, you're protected. Look after yourself. Promise me.
In times like these, shouldn't your money work even harder for you? We think so. That's why at Duca Credit Union, you get no-fee checking accounts. You also get high interest on deposits and investments and low mortgage rates. Plus, you get to share in the profits. That's the Duca difference. And now, we're offering 2% interest on your savings until July 31st, 2022. Find out how at duca.com/earn more. Do more, be more, achieve more with Duca Credit Union. Conditions apply.
Watch, listen, connect. This is City News 680. Everywhere.
Good evening, I'm Zach Bodenstein.
I'm Scott Burnett. Here are the top stories this hour.
U.S. President Joe Biden called Vladimir Putin, quote, a war criminal as NATO sends more military aid and supplies to Ukraine. And apparently peace talks between Ukraine and Russia are progressing. A woman in her 70s is in critical condition after a hit and run in East York, but after initially fleeing, the driver returned to the scene. That happened on Thorncliffe Park just south of Overlea. And put those lights on, drive according to the conditions. There's a fog advisory in place for the entire GTA. Right now we're sitting at 1, feeling like -5. City News Time 10:45, and now sports. Finally, the Raptors tipping off. Here's Mike Leach.
Yeah, it's been a long night waiting for this one, Zach. The Raps running with the Clippers right now in the capper of a 6-game road trip. And after dropping the opener in Cleveland, Toronto rolling off 4 straight wins. Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. were both game-time decisions for this one. And, well, Matty D?
Trent Jr., a 3, got it. Back-to-back threes by the two players who were questionable to play
Yeah, both Van Fleet and Trent Jr. playing and scoring. Toronto up 11-9 in the first quarter on Sportsnet. Also on the hardwood tonight, the Celtics with a 26-20 first quarter lead over the Warriors in Golden State. Sacramento up 50-44 over Milwaukee. That's in the second quarter in the California capital. On the ice tonight in the NHL, the Flames leading the Devils 2-1 after 1 in Calgary. That game is on Sportsnet. Kraken and Lightning tied 1-1 in the first period. Off the ice, the Montreal Canadiens sending Ben Sherratt to Florida in a trade this evening. The Panthers sending Tyler Smolenic and a pair of draft picks back to Montreal. NFL free agency heating up. The Bills inking linebacker Von Miller to a 6-year deal, reportedly worth $120 million. Also, Tennessee releasing wide receiver Julio Jones earlier in the day. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ziprecruiter.ca/Canada.
City News Time 10:48. The Premier and Prime Minister were in Alliston today announcing a massive cash injection to the town's Honda plant to ensure that it could build the cars of the future. And the province and the feds each pitching more than $130 million to this project.
These investments will ensure Honda Canada builds its next generation models like hybrids right here in Ontario.
The Premier did not directly answer a question, meantime, about the possible revival of electric vehicle rebates that Ford canceled when he took office. And when the two leaders were asked about the state of childcare negotiations...
We hope to have things to announce very soon.
That will have an announcement very, very soon.
Ontario, meantime, as it stands, the only province that's not signed on to the national plan that's aimed at lowering childcare fees to an average of $10 a day within 4 years.
The invasion of Ukraine.
A top U.S. national security advisor spoke with his Russian counterpart today over the phone, the first official discussion between the two countries since the invasion. As ABC's Mary Bruce reports, Jake Sullivan issued a stark warning to the Russians.
We are told that Sullivan made it clear that the U.S. will continue to impose costs on Russia if they don't stop attacking Ukraine, and that they will impose harsh consequences if Moscow is to use chemical or biological weapons.
And when asked if this calls a sign of possible progress, the White House said tonight that they are not optimistic. Meantime, a subvariant of Omicron appears to be pushing COVID cases up in parts of Europe and Asia, but how concerned should we be about a new wave over here? Our Martin McMahon's asking medical experts.
Restrictions have been easing in Northern Europe, similar to the track we're on, and they're seeing cases rise. It's a similar story in parts of Asia. China, for example, is locking down hard due to new cases. But it's not exactly the same story here, explains Dr. Allison McGeer, an infectious disease consultant at Mount Sinai Hospital.
Different vaccines, different public health restrictions over time, much lower rates of infection than we've had so far.
And Dr. Brian Conway with the Vancouver Infectious Diseases Center says the imminent arrival